Hello everyone, and welcome to part 6 of my Broken Sword 5 The Serpent's Curse walkthrough guide. Inspect the junk.
Piles of junk, mostly boxes of old paints and scraps of picture frames. Mixed in were wires, cardboard, and some dubious-looking old clothes. George Stobart.
Ah, Monsieur Stobart. I trust you have obeyed my instructions not to leave Paris.
Of course, Inspector.
Good. You clearly know which side your cookie is buttered. Now, I require your presence tomorrow at the murder scene for a reconstruction.
I see.
12 o'clock sharp, monsieur. Or, as you would say, high noon.
Sure.
Any failure to comply, and I shall have you extraordinarily rendered. Have a nice day now.
And you. That was Nave. We're required back at the gallery tomorrow for a crime scene reconstruction.
Let me guess. Non-attendance is a criminal offense?
You got it.
Interact with the letterbox.
It was Hobbs's mailbox. There was a note hanging out.
Interact with the letter inside to get an unopened letter.
For a second, I debated the morality of mail snooping. It was a short debate, and I won.
In your inventory, examine the unopened letter to get a modeling agency letter.
I decided to open the letter. Dear Mr. Hobbs, due to previous incidents, we are writing to inform you that we will no longer be sending models to your address. It went on to discuss Hobbs's temper and other alleged infractions, some of which still carry the death sentence in certain less sophisticated cultures. Interesting. This could come in useful.
Interact with the van cab. Pick up the whiskey.
Slosha.
Interact with the bonnet catch near the pedals.
I popped open the van's hood.
Interact with the van bonnet.
The engine was held together by rust and dirt. Everything was covered in a sticky film of dirty black oil. Half the wiring wasn't connected to anything.
Interact with the junk to pick up 2 long wires.
I had found just what I needed. 2 lengths of wire.
In your inventory, use the nail clippers on one of the long wires to get 2 short wires.
Lane's nail clippers. The initials HL were engraved on them. I snipped the wire in half.
Interact with the van bonnet.
The engine bay was a mess.
Use 1 short wire on the wiring loom, top left,
I connected the wires from the cab to the horn.
and 1 short wire on the battery terminal, top right.
The wire was just long enough to connect the battery to the horn.
Use the long wire on the horn.
Everything was wired up. The horn had power.
Interact with the van cab. Interact with the horn.
I figured that should get Hobbs' attention.
Talk to Hobbs and choose Modelling Agency Letter.
All right, hold your bloomin' horses. What are you up to with my van?
Hello there. We fixed your horn.
So I hear. Now what are you doing in my yard?
Afternoon, Mr. Hobbs. We're from the model agency.
About bloomin' time. I'm on a deadline. You better come up.
Enter through the blue door.
About time you two showed up.
Hello, Mr. Hobbs. I was just wondering if...
Can it, Goldilocks? I don't have time for chit-chat. Just get undressed behind that screen.
Undressed?
That was the deal. An extra 20 quid because I need you with your kit off.
The studio was freezing.
And as for you, darling, no need to get undressed. I've got a vivid imagination, so I'll just use that. Either way, just go sit over there on that rug and give me your best Belle Epoque floozy. That's perfect. Just hold it there.
Nico made for a good distraction. I just needed to figure out how to get a look inside that portfolio.
Interact with the screen as George.
My, if it isn't George Stobart.
Lady Piermont. Oh my. You're...
Naked? Of course. As an artist's muse, one often finds oneself en pelotas. Now, George, don't be shy. Come here and give me a big hug.
That day was the day the nightmares had begun. Trapped, smothered, choking on lavender.
George, darling, pass me my robe. It's terribly cold in here.
Oi! What are you doing with a bloomin' robe on? God help me, but you're supposed to be naked. I've got a deadline to meet.
Well, you won't be meeting any deadlines with manners like that. And besides, it's freezing in here.
Lady Piermont and I had met before. She was larger than life, in every way.
Talk to Lady Piermont.
Lady Piermont.
Oh, George, be a darling and sort the heating out in here.
I'll see what I can do.
Interact with the thermostat near the stairs leading up.
Hey! Leave that dial alone.
Sorry, but Lady Piermont is cold. I thought...
Look, pal, I know it's brass monkeys in here, but the wiring in this building is ancient, and the fuse box won't take it. Her Majesty will just have to get used to chapel hat pegs.
Lady Piermont, Mr. Hobbs won't let me turn up the heating.
Well, we'll soon see about that.
Oh, crumbs.
If you do not adjust the heating, I shall refuse to cooperate.
Lady Piermont, it's the circuits. They won't take the strain. You know what old buildings are like.
In which case, I see no reason for this session to continue.
Whoa, Lady Piermont, let's not be too hasty. I'm sure I can accommodate your needs.
Good. Perhaps you can start by letting George here turn up the heating.
Oh, go ahead then, but be careful. The power in here is temperamental.
I turned the thermostat up as far as it would go. I wondered if the suspicious wiring could be used to my advantage.
Use the whiskey on the whiskey glass next to Hobbs.
A variety of liquor bottles, all empty.
How about a top-up, Mr. Hobbs?
Don't mind if I do.
Inspect the stereo.
Wow, an old Bofson Wang stereo. I hadn't seen one of those for years.
Interact with the power button. Interact with the volume.
I turned the volume up a few notches.
Interact with the lift buttons at the top of the stairs.
Oh, you! Get down from there. You'll trip the power in the whole building if you're not careful.
Blowing the power would certainly have distracted Hobbs, but the elevator alone wasn't going to trip the whole system.
Talk to Lady Piermont and choose lift.
A word if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I'm all ears. How can I help?
Lady Piermont, we need your help.
How thrilling! What do you need? Subterfuge? Legerdemain?
Actually, I just need you to step on that lift behind you.
Oh, but of course. Is this good, George, darling?
Perfect. Now, just stay right there.
Interact with the lift buttons at the top of the stairs.
Oh, not again.
An empty click, then nothing. The elevator was going nowhere without power.
And do that again. Interact with the lift buttons at the top of the stairs.
I decided to wait until Hobbs was painting again. That would annoy him the most.
Immediately interact with the portfolio near where Hobbs was standing while painting.
Now was my chance.
Interact with the next page prompt 3 times. Interact with the unusual sketch to pick up Hobbs's sketch.
Well, it wasn't La Maledictio, but it did appear to be a study for an element of the painting, the Ouroboros. There was something different about the image in the center. I figured the sketch might come in handy, so I took it.
What the heck? I told you that portfolio was private.
Huh?
Well, that was fun. Just like when you were a private dick, George.
So, you're not models?
No, Mr. Hobbs.
Well, you can't be a copper. You're not stupid enough. So what the blazes are you doing in my studio?
We're investigating the theft of a painting, La Maledictio, by the Spanish artist El Serp. One of these sketches is a study of that painting.
Well, sure, but what's that got to do with that? I'm a restorer, and I restored it. I've got naught to do with what happened after that painting left this studio. How was I to know it was going to get Henri killed?
Talk to Hobbs and choose Henri.
Hang on a second. How do you know Henri's dead?
Look, he and I went back a long way. Le Lézard Bleu was on the ropes, so I got the painting into his exhibition. Nothing like this was supposed to happen.
Hard.
But something did happen, Hobbs. Your friend lost his life.
Look, I'll help you however I can, but this mess is way above my pay grade. What do you want to know?
And Madovsky.
We have reason to believe that Madovsky is mixed up in the theft of La Malediccio.
Eh? What would he gain from stealing his own painting?
We have strong evidence that Madovsky is not the real owner.
You'll have a hard time proving that. Madovsky has a full set of provenances for the painting. It traces its legitimate ownership all the way back to the painter.
Why didn't Madovsky mention it?
Because they're not with him. Henri's got them. Or had them.
And Henri is dead.
So ask his partner.
Lane?
Lane, yeah, Lane. Look, pal, you're wasting your time looking for conspiracies here. And you're wasting my time if you're not actually going to get naked. Go get the provenance from Lane, and everything will turn out hunky-dory.
But it also puts Marquez's story into question.
Not my problem, darling. Now both of you, get lost. I've got a painting to finish.
And we have a critic to interrogate.
Someone's lying, but who?
Is it the gangster or the old Spaniard?
The painter or the art critic?
I need to head back for Nave's reconstruction.
What about the evidence from Madovsky's house? Will you give it to Nave?
I think I should. And I can put the squeeze on Lane. Ask him about the provenance.
Good. I've got lunch with Ronnie tomorrow. This story is hotting up, and I want to make sure he keeps me on it.
Taxi!
Return to the gallery.
Here I was again at the crime scene. Inside the gallery, I could see lots of activity. Nave preparing for the reconstruction, no doubt.